This is the Global News on Atlantic Television Network, and now to the rest of our stories. President Bola Tinubu has summoned a meeting of the Council of State and the Police Council for Thursday, October 9, 2025, to deliberate on the escalating insecurity across parts of the country and other pressing national issues. The strategic sessions, to be held at the Council Chambers of the Presidential Villa, Abuja, underscores the President's renewed commitment to strengthening Nigeria's security architecture and restoring public confidence amid rising security concerns. According to a statement by the Permanent Secretary, Cabinet Affairs Office, Dr. Emanso Umobong, said the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, has formally invited members of both councils to participate either physically or virtually. The Council of State, chaired by the President, is an advisory body comprising former presidents, former heads of states, former chief justices of Nigeria, state governors, and the Attorney General of the Federation, and also provides counsel on major policy matters including national security and appointments. The Police Council, on the other hand, oversees the organization, administration, and operational control of the Nigeria Police Force, including the appointment and discipline of senior officers, adding that the meetings would review the nation's security situation, evaluate ongoing military operations, and consider fresh measures to tackle banditry, kidnapping, and communal violence in some northern and central states. President Bola Tinubu has forwarded a letter to the Senate seeking the confirmation of Abdullahi Ramat as the Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission. The letter was read during the resumption of plenary on Tuesday by the Senate President Godswill Akpabio after the Senate had gone on its annual recess on July 24. A tradition that allows lawmakers to combine legislative work with constituency duties and personal engagements. And the upper chamber shifted its resumption from September 23 to October 7, 2025, extending its annual recess by 2 weeks. This is coming after the President had on August 8 nominated Ramat as Chairman, CEO of the NERC, and also nominated Abubakar Yusuf as the Commissioner of Consumer Affairs and Dr. Fouad Animashon as Commissioner of Finance and Management Services for NERC. A statement signed by the Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, said Ramat is a 39-year-old electrical engineer and administrator with a PhD in strategic management, among other qualifications, stressing that the appointment was to avoid a leadership vacuum in the critical regulatory agency, and the President had directed that Ramat assume office in acting capacity pending his screening by the Senate as stipulated by the law. Embattled Senator representing Kogi Central, Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, has returned to the Senate after serving a 6-month suspension. She was seen as the upper chamber resumed plenary following a 10-week recess, with Deputy Senate President Barau Jibrin presiding over the session, and Akpoti-Uduaghan's return marks the end of a suspension that had generated widespread public debate earlier in the year. The lawmaker was suspended in March 2025 for 6 months over alleged misconduct during her protest against the reassignment of her seat by Senate President Godswill Akpabio on February 20th, and following her suspension, her office, located in Suite 2.05 of the Senate wing, had been locked since March 6, 2025, and it was recently unsealed by the Deputy Director of the National Assembly, Sergeant Arms Alabi Adedeji, paving the way for her return. Akpoti-Uduaghan had described Akpabio as a dictator when she was allowed into her office 2 weeks ago after serving her suspension, while the Senate President was conspicuously absent during the resumption, and despite his absence, the plenary recorded a significant turnout of lawmakers, indicating a full return to legislative business. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has requested approval from the House of Representatives to secure approximately $2.3 billion in external borrowing to address Nigeria's 2025 budget deficit and refinance maturing Eurobonds. The request is expressed in a letter sent to the Green Chamber and read during a plenary session on Tuesday by Speaker Abbas Tajuddin to House members, detailed the total borrowing request of $2,347,465 trillion, and this includes $1.2 trillion in new external loans to finance the 2025 Appropriation Act and $1.1 trillion to refinance upcoming Eurobond maturities. Tinubu proposed that the borrowings be sourced through issuance of Eurobonds, bridge finance from book runners, loan syndication, and direct borrowing from international financial institutions. And the policy premium for the guarantee proposed by ICIEC is 3.5% of issue amounts per annum. The latest borrowing plan builds on Nigeria's aggressive fiscal strategy under Tinubu's administration. Earlier in 2025, the Senate approved a $21.5 billion external borrowing framework for 2025 to 2026 to plug budget shortfalls and support sectors like infrastructure, agriculture, health, and education. And in July, lawmakers greenlit an additional $347 million loan and 757 billion naira in pension and arrears. And according to Debt Management Office data, the borrowings have been labeled as setting a dangerous fiscal precedent, with total public debt exceeding 108 billion by mid-2025. Speaker of House of Representatives Honorable Tajuddin Abbas says the move has become necessary to review the economic, regulatory and security implications of cryptocurrency adoption and point-of-sale POS operations in Nigeria amid growing concerns of fraud, cybercrime and consumer exploitation in the digital finance space. Speaking at the ceremony on Monday in Abuja during the inauguration of ad hoc committee to carry out this exercise, Honorable Tajuddin said over the years, the Nigerian economy proved to be resilient and showing impressive growth in its non-oil sectors. According to him, it is therefore safe to conclude that the cryptocurrency trade will thrive in such a robust economic environment, adding that the vulnerability inherent in cryptocurrency operations cannot be underestimated. The Speaker, who was represented by the House Chief Whip, Honorable Usman Kumo, also spoke on concerns about its susceptibility to terrorism financing and money laundering, considering its opaque nature, dubious regulatory framework, nuclear governance structure, and lack of accountability. He also assured that the 10th House remained at the vanguard of protecting the country and its citizens from any negative development that will impact the transformative work being done by the administration of President Bola Tinubu to reform the Nigerian economy, and further urged the committee to be patriotic in the discharge of its functions for the good of the country.
There's cryptocurrency and POS is operational all over the world. And therefore, we cannot, as a nation, live in isolation without accepting the fact that we must all metamorphose into team players. As a parliament, we need a legislation to guide the operations of these very important digital financial transactions. Why we are here today is to assemble experts and captains of industries, particularly in the economic sector, so that the committee will be able to collect relevant informations that will guide the House and help us in formulating a regulatory framework that we will give birth to a piece of legislation that will guide the operations of this cryptocurrency digital financial transactions.
In his remarks, the chairman of the committee, Honorable Olufemi Bamisile, said the assignment is of national significance aimed at striking a balance between financial innovation and national security, and asked for the review of the economic, regulatory and security implications of cryptocurrency adoption and point-of-sale operations in Nigeria. He observed that across the world, financial systems are being reshaped by technology, which has a serious risk of cybercrime, fraud, money laundering, terrorism financing, and regulatory uncertainty.
Let us be frank. Many fintech entails in our countries still lack robust protections for their consumers. Their platforms have regrettably become platforms of choice of scammers who flee incessant on innocent Nigerians day after day. If ignored, this risk could compromise not only our financial stability, but also our national security. The committee has been mandated to, 1, examine the opportunities and challenges posed by cryptocurrencies and POS operations. 2, safeguard the integrity of our financial institution. 3, work with stakeholders to develop a legislative and regulatory framework that balances innovations with security and opportunities with responsibilities. We are not here to stifle innovations, but innovation without safeguards can destabilize economies, empower criminals, and erode public trust.
Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Benjamin Kalu, has stressed the urgent need for a revised constitution for Nigeria, saying that the legal documents will not only deepen democracy, but will actively strengthen good governance. The Deputy Speaker, who stated this during the consultative meeting of the House Committee on Constitution Review with leaders of political parties in Abuja, said Nigeria needs a constitution capable of allowing its democracy to thrive, adding that the cooperative democracy envisioned 26 years ago remains largely aspirational and not fully realized. In his remark, the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, assured that the National Assembly will work with the executive and other stakeholders to give Nigerians the constitution that it deserves. The chairman of Inter-Party Advisory Council, Yusuf Dantali, called for the scrapping of the state independent electoral commissions and vesting the responsibility of conducting all 774 local government elections on the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC.
Before us are critical amendment bills that will define the trajectory of our democracy for the next generation. Bills that seek to guarantee women's representation in our legislative houses, ensuring that no Nigerian is excluded from decision-making because of their gender. Bills that seek to grant financial autonomy to local government so that the councillors and the chairmen elected by your community can deliver.
In South Africa, the Constitution enshrines judicial independence as sacred. We can do the same, not by copying others, but by perfecting ourselves. True federalism begins at the grassroots. If government does not work in the village, it has failed in the capital. We must free our local governments from the chains of dependency. Development must have a human face, and that face must be visible in every ward, every street, and every home.
We believe that the State Independent Electoral Commissions, CX, should be scrapped and vesting the responsibility of conducting all 704 local government areas elections on the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, because elections at local government level today has become a charade and a mere waste of money.
During the technical section, the lead consultant House Committee on Constitution Review, Mr. Clement Wankwo, at the presentation summarized the compendium of bills and also outlined some proposals towards improving their functions. Clement Wankwo, the Constitution Review Committee, had assured to make available the final draft of a reviewed constitution to the Parliament for consideration and adoption in December 2025. Speaker of the House of Representatives, Abbas Tajuddin, has sworn in 3 members following their victory in the August 16, 2025 by-elections. The 3 new lawmakers are among the 5 elected to fill the vacant seats following the death of 4 members and the choice of Dennis Idahosa as the running mate of Senator Monday Okpebholo in the 2024 Edo governorship. This is coming after the Green Chamber lost 4 members due to illness in 2024, including Ekene Adams from Kaduna, Isa Dongoyaro Jigawa, and Olaide Akinremi Oyo, while Oriyomi Onanuga died in 2025. While in August, the Independent National Electoral Commission conducted by-elections in the respective states to fill the vacant seats. The All Progressives Congress won 4 out of the 5 vacant seats, while the People's Democratic Party won 1 seat, and those sworn in on Tuesday are Omosede Igbenedion, Ovia South, Ovia West, Ovia North, East Federal Constituency, Edo State Joseph Bagudu, Chikon Kajuru Federal Constituency, Kaduna State, and Mokhtar Rabiu of Garki Babura Federal Constituency, Jigawa State. Members of the National Assembly Joint Committee on Works have decried the deplorable state and slow pace of work on the Calabar-Itu Federal Highway, describing the situation as a national emergency that demands urgent government attention. The Calabar-Itu Federal Highway is one of the oldest and most strategic transport corridors in southern Nigeria, linking Cross River, Akwa Ibom, and Abia states, and serving as a major route for the movement of goods and agricultural produce between the South-South and Southeast regions. Chairman of the House of Representatives Committee on Works, Akinola Alabi, who disclosed this on Monday during an inspection tour of the Cross River section of the road project, said the visit was part of the committee's constitutional oversight to assess the level of work done by contractors handling the federal projects. Alabi, who was accompanied by the Vice Chairman, Senate Committee on Works, Usman Banye, Joint Committee Coordinator, Ashley Emenike, Senate Committee Chairman on NDDC, and Senator representing Cross River South Senatorial District, Senator Asuko Ekpeyong, and others, said the team was dissatisfied with the progress of the project and performance of some contractors on the route, adding that the decision to switch the project's design from asphalt to concrete pavement had delayed the work considerably, and several contractors lacked the technical capacity to deliver the job. On his part, Senator Supo Ekpeyong, who represents Cross River South Senatorial District, said the oversight visit followed a motion he raised in the Senate a year ago after a pregnant woman went into labor in traffic along the same route and delivered her baby inside a car, and further assured of federal government intervention to complete the road project. Chief of Army Staff Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluyede has warned that the growing use of fake news, manipulated images and deepfakes poses a grave threat to Nigeria's national security and the integrity of military operations. Oluyede, who was represented by the Commander, Nigerian Army Cyber Warfare Command, Major General Mohammed Abdullahi, spoke on Tuesday at the ceremony of the Directorate of Army Public Relations Combined 3rd and 4th Quarters seminar held in Abuja. The Army chief said the rise of digital technology and artificial intelligence had made information travel faster and wider, making it easier for misinformation and doctored content to spread unchecked, adding that the media plays a vital role in shaping public perception of the military, while responsible and balanced reporting is essential to maintain public trust and support for ongoing operations across the country. He also said modern conflicts are increasingly fought not only on the battlefield, but also in the information space, where narratives and public confidence determine the success of security efforts, and urged journalists and public relations officers to work together to counter misinformation by ensuring that only verified and factual information dominates public discourse. He commended the Acting Director, Army Public Relations, Lieutenant Colonel Apollonia Anele, for his initiative in convening the seminar and for his commitment to improving military media relations, and also reiterated the Army's readiness to collaborate with the media to promote professionalism, truth and national interest in the reporting of military operations. Amnesty International Nigeria says the failure of the government to address the security crisis in the southeast zone has created a free-for-all reign of impunity in which many state and non-state actors have committed serious human rights violations, killing at least 1,844 people between January 2021 and June 2023. The director, Amnesty International Nigeria, Issa Sanusi, who disclosed this during the launch of its report titled A Decade of Impunity, Attacks and Unlawful Killings in the Southeast Nigeria in Enugu on Tuesday, said the report documents alleged unlawful killings, torture, enforced disappearances, and arbitrary arrests at the hands of rampaging gunmen, including paramilitary outfits, vigilantes, criminal gangs, and cult groups in the southeast region, adding that the developments had provided the authorities with adequate leads to open an investigation that will end the impunity and provide victims with justice. He said Nigerian authorities' brutal clampdown on pro-Biafra protests from August 2015 plunged the southeast region into an endless cycle of bloodshed, which has created a climate of fear and left many communities vulnerable, as well as assassinations of prominent personalities and attacks on highways. Security personnel and facilities are chilling reminders of the region's insecurity. Amnesty International also conducted research missions to Owerri in Imo State, Asaba in Delta State, Obosi in Anambra State, and Enugu in Enugu State between April 2023 and November 2023, adding that the report is based on interviews with 100 people, including survivors, victims, families or relatives, civil society members, lawyers, traditional leaders, and religious leaders. The group also set the silence of the Southeast governors to its inquiries on the killings, demonstrated the lack of commitment to ending the carnage that has left families devastated, lives lost, and socio-economic development of the region hampered. Chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, has officially bowed out after completing his second and final term as head of Nigeria's electoral body. Professor Mahmood Yakubu handed over to May Agbamuche as the acting national chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. Agbamuche is the oldest serving national commissioner in the electoral body. Professor Yakubu, who was the first chairman of INEC to serve 2 full terms since the establishment of the commission, was appointed in 2015 and reappointed in 2020, and the commission during his tenure embarked on notable electoral reforms in Nigeria, including the introduction of bimodal voter accreditation systems, BVAs, and the INEC result viewing portal, IREV, both designed to improve transparency and credibility in the electoral process. Speaking during a brief handover ceremony at the Commission's headquarters in Abuja, Professor Yakubu expressed appreciation to Nigerians, electoral stakeholders, and INEC staff for their support throughout his tenure, and described his time in office as one of immense learning, service, and resilience. According to the former chairman, he is living with a deep sense of fulfillment, knowing that the Commission has made substantial progress in strengthening the electoral process in Nigeria. National Chairman of the African Democratic Congress ADC, David Mark, says the party's goal is to build a legacy of service, not to chase power. Mark, who disclosed this on Tuesday at the inaugural meeting of the party's National Working Committee, NWC, in Abuja, said the ADC was founded on the conviction that Nigeria can and will work for everyone. According to him, the party seeks to build an institution bigger than any personality, stronger than any moment, and positively different from any party in the annals of our country. Adding that the ADC's leadership standard is non-negotiable and anchored on 4 pillars, which he said would guide the party's choices and culture. He described the party as a pan-African people-oriented problem-solving movement that is sensitive to the needs of the poor, the youth, women, workers, entrepreneurs, and persons with disabilities, stressing that the ADC will be guided by rules, policy, programs, and people. Academic Staff Union of Universities will on Monday, October 13, 2025, commence a 2-week nationwide warning strike to press home its demands from the federal government. A memo tagged Strike Bulletin 1 sent to all branches in Abuja said the planned strike follows a 2-week ultimatum issued by the union last week, asking the federal government to address its unresolved issues, including the signing and implementation of the renegotiated 2009 ASU-FGN agreement. In the fresh memo to branches, ASU National President Professor Chris Biwana expressed huge disappointment over government's failure to provide any meaningful response to the union's demands despite the ultimatum, and further resolved that the union will proceed on a 2-week warning strike at the expiration of the ultimatum if government fails to take acceptable and satisfactory steps to address the lingering issues. The ASU president thanked members for their patience during what he described as a tortuous negotiation that has dragged on for more than 8 years, urging them to remain united and resolute, adding that the goal of the current action remains principally to compel the government to sign and implement the negotiated agreement document, among other demands. When contacted, the spokesperson for the Ministry of Education, Folashade Boriowo, said updates on the government's response would be provided when available, adding that the union's decision follows the National Executive Council meeting held on Sunday, September 28, 2025, at the University of Abuja. In a communique issued at the end of the meeting, ASU listed several unresolved issues that have been debated for months, which include the renegotiation of the 2009 ASU-FGN agreement, sustainable funding for university, revitalization and addressing the victimization of lecturers in some federal universities, including the payment of outstanding 25 to 35% salary arrears, the resolution of promotion arrears lingering for over 4 years, and the settlement of third-party deduction issues. And that's the global news for tonight. Before we go, another look at the major stories. Court fixes October 27 for judgment over murder in Rivers. Amnesty demand investigation into killings in Southeast. ASU mobilizes chapters for October 13 warning strike. CBN assures monetary stability. EU Commission introduces fingerprint, facial scans at borders. Nigeria's under-17 national team to depart for Morocco on Wednesday. Music star Adekunle Gold unveils street name. I am Francis Necker. Thank you for watching. You can follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter at Atlantic TV Net, Facebook and YouTube at Atlantic Television Network, on Instagram at Atlantic TV Network. Peace and unity are the pathways to progress.